Welcome in, Braves Today podcast. Braves_today. If you're on the Twitter, he is Lindsay Crosby. I am Ben Taylor. I'm glad I undershot it and said that we'd go 1-2. We end up going 2-1. We get a much needed series win against a team that wins series.
Yeah, Arizona is very good. I mean, we have to just admit that this team is at the record level and skill level of the Dodgers as far as record in the division, things like that. They don't have the star power of the Dodgers, but they're a very good team. Braves go out and win 2-3. Didn't look like it was going to happen. Eddie Rosario kind of willed it. He had a massive weekend. And you mentioned Marcell Ozuna having a great series against the Marlins and what that did for Marcel May. I think we could see something similar here with Eddie Rosario. He goes on Friday night, has 2 solo home runs. Obviously, Atlanta loses that game 3-2. You win Saturday 5-2. He has a big triple. And you're like, okay, it's really kind of hard to one up these 2 days. And he goes on Sunday, 2 outs, and hits a grand slam to give you an 8-5 win. I really hope that this does for Eddie Rosario what the Marlins series did for Marcell Ozuna and just gives him a fantastic June, because that does nothing but raise the Braves' floor and give you the ability to get an even bigger lead in the division with the weak schedule you have coming up.
I think O'Brien released a stat. Maybe it wasn't him. Maybe it was the Braves themselves that released the stat. But Rosario's numbers in the last 3 innings is just spectacular. I mean, he's one of the guys that you want up in the 8th or the 9th inning at the plate, just because his numbers are just under 400, I believe, as far as average is concerned, whenever he's at the plate. So if there are people on base, more than likely they're going to come around, especially when you park it 390 feet away in right center. They're definitely going to be coming around. So he is somebody that, don't want to call him Clutch Eddie, but for some reason, he seems to turn it up a notch when it gets towards the end of the game and they need him to come through with a base hit or, he's had a couple of home runs in the 8th and 9th innings that have put the Braves ahead in a couple of games this year. So it's either a base hit or it's a long ball, and that just bodes well for that part of the lineup, especially. That's not where you're expecting a bunch of your numbers to come from. So it's a pleasant surprise.
Exactly. I found the stat in it's the 8th inning or later. He's second in baseball with a 1239 OPS behind only Nolan Gorman of the Cardinals. 11 for 30, 7 extra base hits. 3 of those are home runs. So he is second in the National League. Sean Murphy is 5th. Ozzie Albies is 6th. Matt Olson is 12th. So the Braves have 4 guys in the top 12, but Eddie is second best in the National League in the 8th or 9th innings. So that's exactly what you want. I mean, he obviously is dialed in. Plus, apparently he just hates snakes. So I'll take it. Let's go.
I will say this, one person I would love to see on that list a little more, because we've said it, as much as we brag about him, I'm going to throw a little shade towards him right now. Acuna, even though he starts games very well, there's been a lot of times he comes up at the end of the game and he's not able to come through. Now, some of that too is because he's coming up and he's the only guy, there's nobody in front of him. But so he's either leading off the 8th or leading off the 9th. But I would love to see his numbers. I'd love to see him jump into that top 15 before the end of the year. And so that way he could be somebody that makes a difference late in ball games.
Yeah. And kind of looking at this here, I was trying to pull it up, looking how he does. I think it's something where he hasn't been in a ton of scenarios where it is a close game and it's late. In the 8th inning, he's had 31 at-bats this year, and he's batting .208. And in the 9th inning, he's had 19 at-bats. He's batting .056. So you're right. But I did notice that when the game is within like 1 or 2 runs, he's batting like .350. And so he's really good in a close game. He's just not necessarily great at the end of a game. And so part of me wonders how much sample size is in there. But yeah, it feels like he gets his really early in the game, and we're not able to sustain that offensive pace that you get in the first 10 pitches where Ronald gets on, steals second, Olsen drives him in. We can't sustain that through the game, and it makes you have to have late game heroics like from a Rosario, like from a Murphy and an Albies.
That's enough Acuna bashing for the evening. We're going to get nasty hate mail on that. People are going to comment on that, and which is good. Now, I will say this. What do we take away from the weekend in regards to pitching, Lindsay? Because the Braves, that's another reason I'm shocked that they took 2 of 3 because you're throwing Soroka. It's only his second time out. And then you're throwing Smith Shawver as well, and in his debut. And so that's why I told you I thought we would only take 1 of 3. As you said, we stole 1. So what are we to think of the Braves pitching?
So for me, the thing that I'm excited about, you won the Strider start, which feels like you should win that. You were able to steal the Soroka start, and Charlie Morton's start on Friday wasn't bad. It was a quality start. He went 7 innings, 3 runs allowed, which is literally all you can ask for from a starting pitcher is to give you a quality start. And he did. And you just weren't able to generate the offense against Merrill Kelly. And so I feel good about what Atlanta's pitchers were able to do. I have a little bit of if anything, I felt better about how the offense was able to go out. As long as the pitching could keep them in the game, Atlanta had an opportunity to win all 3 of these games because Atlanta had a ton of opportunities late in that Friday night game and just couldn't seem to get the run across. And so I feel good about, for the most part, the pitching you're getting, no matter who it is good enough to win. Now, we're going to test that this week because you don't have Morton going as one of these 3 games. But for the most part, I feel good about how that lined up and worked out.
Ozuna, he continues to, every time he takes a step forward, Marcell May, everything was great. And then he literally sticks his foot in the ground and trips himself up and takes 2 steps backwards, ends up getting pulled because of a base running blunder. And you and I talked about this beforehand, not going to make a huge deal out of it because he was punished. He ended up pulling him. I love the fact that people on social, I would have pulled him. He did pull him.
He did.
Stop. I mean, he did pull him. They're also professionals. He's not going to yank him off the bases right then, as soon as he touches first base. This isn't Little League. He's not doing that. However, I promise you, Ozuna got the message when he was not back out there and hitting next time around, and probably got pulled down into the tunnel and probably said, "Hey, you're done. This is why." And I'll be honest with you, I'm sure Ozuna was like, "I deserve it."
All the public comments from the beat writers and everybody else are that he was aware of why it happened, he completely understood, and that it was harder on him than it was on anybody else. And so, he gets it, he understands. And in his defense, not that it's okay to watch a ball, but a 415-foot hit that reaches the wall at 22 feet in the air should be a home run in his defense. Now, you have to at least jog out of the box so that you're on second if that's caught. But if you hit it 415 feet and it's 27 feet in the air when it gets to the wall, that should be a home run. That's a dumb field. And that's a home run almost. I think I saw the stat. It was 28 of 30 parks. That's a home run.
Yes.
And
I saw somebody do a percentage. It was 94% of parks or something like that. So yeah.
So in his defense, it's a dumb thing to have your home run line 25 feet up on the batter's eye.
I just told you though before we got on here, and I just wish he would make better decisions. He already knows fans are against him. Which, by the way, let me go ahead and dispel another rumor that every one of you keep throwing out there. He's a bad clubhouse guy. He's not. His teammates absolutely love him. Yeah. I don't know where y'all are getting that information from. He and Snit are on the same page. He understood why he was pulled. He's not raising Cain about it. This goes back to the whole, Snit defending him back in LA in the LA series when he was hitting Will Smith with the bat, and people were trying to jump on Ozuna. It's no, that's what he does. That's his game, and so the team accepts that. They know that. They know what kind of player he is, and they're fine with him in the clubhouse. So let me dispel that rumor too. But I will say he's got to have a come to Jerusalem talk with himself that says, okay, quit messing up. Just keep your head down and do your job.
The thing that he has to understand is that he no longer has the benefit of the doubt. And so he has to go above and beyond every time, so that the one time he slips up, something like this, it's not immediately seized on as, see, we told you he sucks. And so that's the realization that he needs to have. He needs to to just kind of suck it up and say, I don't agree with this, but I've got to go, like, I've got to sprint out of the box on every single hit for the rest of the season, no matter if I know it's an out or not, because I don't get the benefit of the doubt anymore because of the dumb things I've done in the past. And he just has to understand that.
Yeah, he's got to cut down on the ammunition a little bit because he's making it free of charge for everybody to grab and throw at him. So acquisitions, Soroka's headed back to the Stripers. And I don't think that's necessarily a demotion as much as it is. I just don't know that he's quite ready yet. And it's not his turn in the rotation. So why not give him a little extra work?
Yeah. And, going back and looking at the two outings, you can see the control is fine for the most part. The command is not. He's not hitting his spots. He's leaving too many balls over the center of the plate. It was a great accomplishment, great achievement to get back to the major leagues. Nobody's taking that away. Now he needs to work on getting the Michael Soroka that we were used to seeing back. And it's obvious he just needs more work with the slider, with the sinker, getting those to the right spots, with the changeup being a little more crisp. And so he's going to do that in Gwinnett. The team feels really good about him. They still feel like he's going to be a key part of this team this season. But I talk about this on Locked On MLB Prospects all the time. A contending team does not have the runway to let a starter figure it out every fifth day on the mound. You just, when you're contending for the World Series, as this team is, you have to have guys who are on their game. And if somebody's slipping up or somebody's not quite ready or not quite polished, they've got to go do that work in AAA. And that's what Soroka's going to do.
And with only 3.5 game lead and the Mets headed to town, speaking of which, this could be one of the best matchups that we've seen and we'll see all season long. Pitching wise, it's just one of those things where, as I told you when I said, hello Mets, hello Scherzer, hello Verlander, we avoided both of them last time around. It looks like it's imminent this time around that we will match up. The good news is it's at Truist.
Yeah, and they tried to get Scherzer last time. He dropped the appeal just to have the timing work out, and then when they canceled that first game, that's what messed him up. But Tuesday night, Bally Sports South, unless you're outside of the market, then it's TBS, Carlos Carrasco versus Bryce Elder. So the veteran for New York not having as great of a year as he wants versus the phenomenal Bryce Elder. Wednesday, Max Scherzer versus Charlie Morton. Two crafty old veterans out there. Both have ERAs in the threes. Both have 5 wins on the season. Gonna be a fun one. And then Thursday is probably the best pitching matchup of the year so far for the Braves. Justin Verlander versus Spencer Strider. And in the booth, this is the special broadcast from Bally Sports South. You're going to have Frenchie is doing play-by-play. And to go along with him, you're going to have Chipper, Smoltz, and Glavine in the booth for Verlander versus Strider. It's going to be a fantastic game on Thursday.
Somebody cusses that night. I promise you. With
the
that
whole
group
the
in
whole
there,
thing's on a delay. There's no way it's not on a delay.
There is no way you get all of those guys in the booth with one another and some story doesn't get told where Chipper says something that is inappropriate before it's all said and done with. And I'm totally okay with it.
There's somebody hovering with a bleep the entire game, all 2.5 hours of it. Somebody's sitting there waiting to press the button, and there's a 4-second delay on this entire thing. There's no way it's not.
I hate to jinx us, but I will say I think that it's 2 of 3. I think the Braves were looking for this matchup. I think they wanted this matchup. I think this is the rotation they wanted to face when they faced New York earlier in the year. For some reason, they seemed to get up for the Mets. I think that game against Verlander is one of those that I've told you before. I think Acuna loves games like this because he wants to show out in front of people against an all-star, and then he gets Scherzer the night before. So I also think that that's the case in that evening. I'm going the Braves 2 of 3. I really wanted to pick the sweep, but I'm just not going to do that. But they also, I think they need 2 of 3. And I think that gets that run going. As you talked about, the schedule gets easier throughout the month of June. So I would love to start it out. It started out already on a good note with a win over the D-backs. So now we will go ahead and I would love to get that series win over the Mets.
Yes. I also want to say 2 out of 3. And again, I want to go with the sweep. I'm just not confident enough to do it. But no, I see this going. It feels like this is Justin Verlander's first trip to Atlanta as a member of the Mets. And I feel like it's going to start off really smoothly for him. And then Atlanta's going to get to him. They're going to have a big inning and they're going to knock him out early. I'm going to go 2 or 3 as well. I'm not sure which of the other two Atlanta's going to pick up, but I'm going to say 2 out of 3 as well.
Man alive. We probably just gave him the kiss of death, as we always do whenever we do this, but that's fine. That's what we're here for. He's Lindsay Crosby. I'm Ben Taylor. Braves today, Braves_today on the Twitter. Hit that subscribe button as far as YouTube is concerned. We would love to have you. Thanks for the feedback as well. Lindsay, as always, thank you, brother.
Thanks for having me. Chop on.